Hello, hello! And we are live. This is Angela Sasser, artist, illustrator, and a mask maker. I do a lot of different things, but today I'm working on an Art Nouveau inspired project of mine called the Birthstone Goddesses. These are little goddesses that represent the months of the year. We have January here with garnet and carnations for the birthstone and the birth flowers. And today I am coloring. So last time on the stream, we had this gal right here, Lady of January, and I was coloring in two different styles. One cell shaded with more harsher edges, harsher shading, and a softer style here on the right. And I put that up for a vote on my Patreon to see what my patrons wanted, which one that appealed to them. Because the whole reason I'm making the stickers, or rather these designs, is that they're going to be on stickers for my Patreon patrons, and eventually offered as sticker sets in my shop and all that stuff. So the patrons chose the soft shaded one. In general, I think they really liked how you can get more glitter and texture and just an overall pleasing look with the soft shading. Excuse me. And so we're going to be doing soft shading. And for those who don't know the original Birthstone ladies, they actually look like this. This is the more serious painting I did. And I did the little cute chibi versions for just for fun, because we unlocked them over on my Patreon, which I'm going to plug. If you'd like to support me on Patreon and also vote in polls and get fun rewards and stuff, I'm patreon.com/Angela Sasser. It's just my name. So, yeah, Lady of January was last week. And I do need to go back and kind of make my rough shading better. And hey, Sandy, always good to see you in the chat. Oh, that's the wrong one. Don't look at it, it's an old one. That was my first try at it when I was still trying to figure out a style for this series. Because I was just gonna do like the same picture but cute chibi versions in the same pose, which would be fun, but we ended up with these, which are clearer and I think will be more readable as stickers. So yeah, I gotta go in and kind of make these highlights less thrown in there and shape this up. But rather than you guys watching me fiddle with all that, I was just gonna go ahead and move on to Lady of February and just finish this one on my own, or maybe at the end of this stream. We'll see what I feel like doing. But for today, I wanted to go ahead and move on to Little Chibi February. So this is the original Lady of February. And yes, Sandy reminded me, if you join my Patreon, there's a private Discord for you guys. And you guys can chat on there. We share inspiration, advice, resources. It's a powder keg of inspiration and geekery, and it's a great place to be. So always welcome you all in there. And, but yes, Lady of February. She was inspired by the goddess Brigid. So she has a Celtic theme going on. And you also have the amethyst birthstone for this month. So she's got the purple going on, as well as the violets, which represent the violet birth flower rather. I'm all tongue twisty today. Then we have the wax blessing here from all the wax candles. Beeswax candles are very important to many traditions that happen within February. And so here's her little form. So the first thing I'm going to do is lay in all the flat colors. So actually let me pull back up the little... Oh, I keep pulling up the wrong one. Pull this one up for reference. And I might pull some of the colors from the lines and whatnot for this, but I'm gonna lay in all the color flats. which is always therapeutic good fun. Alright, so I'm gonna mute my microphone while I drag my Cintiq into place because it's a very loud nails on chalkboard sound. Oh, and this time I remembered to actually have the music not repeating just one song. I so apologize to anyone who was in the chat or listening to the recording and was wondering why the music never changed. So, whoops, my bad. Alright, so, color flatting time. Now, for those who missed it, the way I did this line art was that I drew it digitally on the Cintiq, but that I also used Lazy Nuzumi to help me keep these lines very... this is what Lazy Nuzumi looks like. It helps you get the jitteriness out of your lines, so if you drink too much coffee like I do, or tea rather, it helps you smooth out the lines. It's a very handy plugin for Photoshop. And I just have the original painting up so I can grab some colors from it. And each color is going to have its own layer. But yeah, if you guys want to leave questions for me in the chat, I'll check out the chat every now and again and I can answer them here on the mic for you. And real fast, I'm going to put my info in the chat. My machine gun typing, it'll be done soon. Oh, and this birthstone project actually has its own page at gymgoddesses.angelicshade.com, so I'm going to put that in the chat too. Oh, does it have built-in smoothing now? Gosh, this shows you how much I pay attention to update notes. I should really play with that. See if it's worth it to keep paying for Nuzumi. So I'm assuming just up here. No, that's brush smoothing. Is that the same thing? Well, you know what? Let's play for a second. To turn off Nuzumi for one, which I think I just close it and it'll turn off. Pulled string mode. Whoa. I really need to pay better attention to the notes. What is pulled string mode? Wow. It kind of drags the way that Sai did, the brief hot second I actually used Paint Tool Sai. That's cool. Dude. Thanks, Sam. That's awesome. If you hadn't told me, like, probably like 5 months from now, I'll be like, did y'all see that they have smoothing in Photoshop now? That's pretty cool. Okay, I'm gonna stop playing with the smoother. So, yes. Color flatting! One of these days, I'll get one of those... I'll learn how to use one of those cool filters that for the plugins that let you automatically choose all the closed loops in your image, and then you can just sit there and select it, so you can fill in flats really easily. I have one, but I haven't played with it enough, and I don't sit here and fiddle with it on stream. But it's something I want to learn, because I know it makes the job of a lot of comic artists easier, or anyone who just likes to work with color flats, which I do. Especially when working in this kind of style. She's so carefree. I like the attitude of this one. And something I like to do is actually make a flat, solid shape underneath the whole shape of the figure. That way it's easy to select her. Because sometimes I notice it's easy to get gaps when you're filling it in this way, so I just have a layer underneath all of them. And we just call it base. I'll probably have to clean this selection up. Yep. But yes, let me know what you guys are working on. I always find it interesting to see what everyone's doing while they watch my streams. Are you making art too? Are you knitting? Art of Sam. I would love to see you do chibi courtesans. They would be so adorable because they're like scary, and scary things make the bestest chibis. And yeah, Sani, I generally like to work with a neutralish background too when I'm doing colors, but yeah, I'm not worried too much about it with this one since they're, yeah, kind of got the colors already chosen that I'm pulling from the original. Oh, see, Sani, you stuck to Camp Nano. I have face planted so miserably in the past week. Oh, I see a gap. I missed a gap. Die, gap. But yeah, I face planted so miserably with Camp Nano because I got to this exercise that said you should read more or list all the books that you want to read for the, well, anyway, I was doing an exercise for a writing boot camp. I was kind of double dipping on Camp Nano. And so I just got this urge to go and read things, and that just seemed to be what my brain wanted to do instead of write, and so I indulged it. I finished a book, which, like, never happens. So I'm always too busy, or I don't make enough time to read, so it feels good to finish a book. Because you gotta feed your brain, especially if you're like me and you want to write more, you gotta feed your brain new words, new stories. And my brain has been starving for new stories. I've kind of read the same old stuff that I love forever, and it was about time. Oh gosh, yes, I definitely have book hangover right now because Rebel of the Sands was so good. And I feel a bit dirty saying that because it's a YA novel, so I'm like, what am I, a teenage girl? And apparently I am, because I was totally into it. It was a pretty amazing book. Like, I think it's one of those that mostly escapes the YA tropes. There's a good bit of gazing at her love interest tattoos. But you know, it's good. I can dig it. But yeah, it's a book that combines like Arabian steampunk with fantasy and gunslingers, and it's just a cool mix. I definitely recommend it. It is by Alwyn Hamilton, if you guys have never heard of it. And I want more of the characters. Like, I could see more adventures with the characters, and I'm like, no, you're not gonna stop here, book. You're gonna keep going and let me know how they live and have all these amazing adventures. Let me take it off the pulled string mode. That's weird. Stroke ketchup? Ketchup on stroke end? Let's see, we're gonna play with these while I color. Neat. Photoshop needs to hurry up and come to the iPad too. Like, at some point I want to get a mobile solution, and I'm like, I want that iPad Pro, but Procreate, I'm not good at learning new things, so I'm like, just put Photoshop on there so I don't have to learn anything new. And I know they're planning to. I'm so happy that I get to show the characters' eyes, because one thing I really like about their designs is that each of the little birthstone goddesses has eyes to match her gemstone, and that doesn't show in some of these original paintings because they're like, they're all artfully closing their eyes and being graceful and elegant and ruining my cool aesthetic. Oh, you have a surface, Signy. That's cool. I've been looking at that too because it seems like if I want to use Scrivener, I have Scrivener for the Mac and I have it for the PC because I at one time owned a MacBook. But then, like, in order to get Scrivener on the Pro, if I want to use the Pro as a laptop, I'd have to buy it for iOS. And I'm like, stop making me buy things and learn new shit. Let me be lazy. Yeah, I've got a little bit more saving up to do before I can really get one. Although Best Buy had them for $200 off, and it was torturous watching the clock go to midnight and watching that sale go by. One of these days, we'll eventually get it. We're eventually gonna get one. So purpley. Purple is one of my favorite colors, so I've always been kind of jealous of all you February babies out there with your purpley amethyst. Cause my birthstone's kind of piss colored, so I'm not a big fan of it. Although I was very delighted to learn that topaz comes in blue, I think it was. It comes in a few different colors, so I'm like, yes. Finally not a piss-colored stone. I'm glad I discovered this, because I'd been lazy about updating my lazy Nezumi. I was just kind of hanging on to my last paid upgrade and hoping it wouldn't get defunct. So yeah, this is my first afternoon stream. Look at me being all responsible and actually making my own schedule. I feel all official. But let's hope I can keep this up. I think as long as I have some digital stuff to do, it's a lot easier for me to stream. We're gonna make a new layer for flowers. Or maybe I should keep them. I'll keep them on their own layer. Try to be organized about this whole layer thing. I'd always like to expand the selection by a pixel or two just to make sure it covers the gaps. Those mischievous gaps. Flashbacks to drawing so many violets. Like, they're just... I like to draw flowers, but once they reach a certain bunchiness of blooms, it's kind of torturous. Because if you draw them too symmetrical, it looks really fake. Or they don't look natural, and then if you don't draw enough, it looks weird. Trauma from so many flowers. It's one of those cases where it's definitely more fun of an idea than it is to execute. Chibba chibbies. And she also has a candle crown, like the Lady of December. But her candle crown has burned low because winter is almost over. Well, I can't start the sentence winter without thinking the rest of it's gonna be winter is coming. But winter is going in this case. So for those who didn't catch that symbolism, that's why she has a candle crown to symbolize the end of winter. So hopefully everyone had a good Easter or a happy Sunday. We made Scotch eggs, which was amazing, and I won't eat them for another year because they're so bad for you. If you've never had a Scotch egg, it's like a boiled egg with sausage wrapped around it, dipped in egg seasoning with breadcrumbs, and you fry it. We put it in the air fryer, so it's like slightly healthier, right? So like, yeah. Scotch eggs, nom nom nom. That's right. Easter lasts a little longer for other folks, but here in the US it's kind of like, depending on your religion, if you're not super religious, Easter is like the one day where you eat a lot of candy and then you just kind of move on with life afterwards. There's egg hunts. There's the Easter Bunny. And of course, last night there was the Game of Thrones second episode, which I will not share any spoilers or anything like that, but I really enjoyed that because it's the one thing that will get my family together to watch a fantasy thing. And that's just amazing because, like, all my life, half the family's like, fantasy's so childish, why you watching that stuff? And the other half is big geek like me, so it's the one show that makes my family get together and watch it, like, even when they're not fantasy fans. So I really enjoy that. It is the violence and fantasy and dragons that bring us together. See, now you have to tell me what the program with the mouse is. Are you talking about, like... Are you talking about Disney stuff? Sunny has mentioned a German TV show that brought his family together. Now, I have to warn you, Sam, if you get into doing chibis, they're very addictive, because then you'll want to chibify everything. Like, now I want to draw chibi, like, chibi fan art of my favorite characters, or chibi fan art of my favorite masterpieces. That's an idea that won't go away. Like, take the Mona Lisa and do chibi, like a chibi version of her with a cute little half smile. And I like the idea of taking something iconic like that and still having it be recognizable in a super cute form. Like, that's an idea that I might have to indulge in sometime. Chibis are so stress relieving too. But then they become a meter by which people who know me can tell that I've had a stressful time, because wow, this weekend has been a bit mad. Our basement flooded on Friday because Georgia got torrential downpour in the middle of the night. And then our garage flooded at the same time, but nowhere near as bad as the basement. So we would try to clean that up, and thankfully there was no art down there because I knew it had a history of flooding. But there was art in the garage, so I had to save a soggy box of art and stack it up around the house. So that was a bit hectic. But it's all good now. There's 12 pounds of damper down there, so that's gotta help it, or hopefully keep it from molding up. And I've got all the stuff to fix our drains so they actually drain the proper direction. I am learning that the challenges of adulthood mostly have to do with, especially when you're renting a house or owning a house, is water. Water is your worst enemy. Although fortunately it seems like a lot of adulthood problems can be solved with vinegar and baking soda, so that's good. So I will let the color flatting soothe away the stressfulness of flooding. Soothing, compulsive filling in of lines. Ooh, yay, more spears. Those dudes are fun. And hello for new viewers in the chat. Feel free to drop some messages in the chat and I'll be glancing up there to see what's up and maybe answer them on the mic. So give me stuff to talk about, because otherwise I'll float from topic to topic and ramble about randomness. Oh, Art of Sam asks, who is my favorite chibi lady? Good grief. You're making me pick my favorite children. And, let's see. Quick interlude. It's hard to pick a favorite because, whoops, wrong things. They all have something cute about them that I like. But my favorites, I'm really torn between September. Because I love her little masks. Her little comedy tragedy masks. Her themes are just really fun, and I love how she fills up the space. Like, the composition of this one just worked out. And then, October, because she's so whimsical, and I love how graceful her pose is and the flow and all that. So I'm really looking forward to coloring those two, but I'm gonna be good and do this in order and get through all the boring spring and winter people first. And I mean that in the most loving way. I still love you, February. I just maybe love your sisters more. Oh, and here I'll put this little gallery in the chat for those who maybe haven't seen the whole series in a while, because I drew these sometime last year. So there, enjoy a gallery of all the little ones. And yes, my husband really loves July too. She's just so cute and sassy with her magpies. And I like the way the lanterns kind of lead your eye around in that one. You can tell later on I started to get into more of a flow with the composition. That's what happens with a series of anything. You end up, like, getting better by the end. It always happens. Especially when I draw anything like a comic. The beginning will look like crap by the end. I'm glad to see someone likes August, because I feel like she's, like, she was this concept I tried to do to be more unique, to try something different and conceptual, and she's not very popular because I did something weird and different, so hooray for people who like Little Lady of August. She's the underappreciated lady. Okay, base figure is not done. I need to color the arrow and the candle flames. No, I don't want to brag. Okay, I'm at least gonna stretch a little. You guys feel free to stretch with me too. With my dead-eyed exercise model helping us through the exercises. She lives only to do these exercises. And I have to do this because my shoulder hates me if I don't. I have this program to make me do this like once an hour because I have a bad habit of getting into a zone and very intensely holding a position, so it's nice to loosen up. I totally wonder if you guys can hear my shoulder crack from the microphone. That would be scary if you can. Oh, hello, Saradin. Welcome to the chat. Okay, we're not gonna rest for the rest of that because I'll walk later. Okay, so back to color flattering. It's always interesting to hear people's favorites. Like, there's a good variety across the series, which makes me happy that someone sees something they like in all of them. I know I colored the candles. Oh, here we go. I can get behind this Photoshop smoothing. It works pretty well. They keep adding really fun things. Like, I love the symmetry tool as well. That has actually helped me draw the border on this picture, so I could keep all the designs looking symmetrical but still having a hand-drawn feel to them. Because I noticed when I tend to just block in with the shape tool instead, it just looks so mechanical. So I like having that hand-drawn feel but preserving the symmetry so it still doesn't look too warped, because sometimes if you try to eyeball things, it warps. I am amused that you cannot choose, Saradin. That is a good sign. It makes me happy. It's kind of fun to revisit this lady because there was a long break between Lady of January and Lady of February because it was a very, I won't go into the sordid details, but it was a very difficult time of my life. And it was very hard to get back into the swing. I was dealing with a lot of crises at that point. But finally I was able to sit back down and dive into the concept. And it was a good escape that I needed. To lose myself in all these details and these meditative braids and all the research that comes with it. I researched probably too much before I made these, because the ideas come from trying to find a conceptual approach that combines the folklore from our real world into something fantastical but still familiar. And sometimes that's easier and sometimes that's more difficult. And this lady was somewhere in the middle. She finally came together, I think, because I love candles. And there's so many beautiful carved beeswax candles that ended up being sort of the focus of this piece. It all meshed together when I was researching the blessing of wax candles. So this lady represents a return from burnout and depression and a lot of stuff like that. Which kind of fits her, being very Brigid inspired. She channels a lot of creativity, that goddess. I got caught up in rambling and forgot what part I was gonna color next. It's still pretty hard for me to multitask while I draw and read the chat and color. But as long as you guys are having fun and don't mind my slowness, is all good. Okay, main figure is done. Hooray! We have made progress. Oh, good question from Sam in the chat. Art of Sam. She asks, outside of your actual birth month, which lady do you identify with most? Oh, that's easy, and it probably shows in how much detail and just the way she's presented. It's Lady of September, for sure. Which is a funny story because that was the month that stumped me. I'm like, there are no holidays in September. There's nothing really for me to jump off from as an inspirational springboard. But then all of a sudden I remembered that's the equinox, where the night and the day are equal. And there's a festival, a Celtic festival called Mabon. And I apologize if I mispronounce that, because Celtic is so hard to pronounce. It never looks like how you think it does. So, but it looks like Mabon phonetically, and that focuses on being able to accept your dark side, your mistakes, and acknowledge that some of these things are a part of you, but that you can improve yourself, because that you have the equal parts darkness and light in yourself, that you can balance these things. And that's represented by the night and the day being equal at that point. And I just loved that. And that's why she resonated with me, because I'm all about trying to improve, trying to self-examine. And that theme just seems to come up in a lot of my own characters in art and whatnot, so it's not surprising that she resonates. And you know what? I'm glad that I found that inspirational strand in September, because I had a lot of people in DragonCon last year who were September babies. They were born in September, and they're like, and all the art I've seen there is absolutely jack all for September representation. So they were like, thank goodness there's finally a cool September thing. I have no idea what to call the medallion. Probably gold. Yeah, let's go with gold. Really different shades of gold, because little January here has different shades of silver. Gosh, I'm not even to shading yet. We'll see how long. I'm just gonna color until run out of motivation today. In fact, I really want to do more. I want to draw September more, because she has like this cool party color theme. So her dress is half black, half white. Her eyes are red and white. She has heterochromia. And again, I couldn't show that very well in her original paintings. So I really want to come back to her at some point. Sani asks, what can we do to keep your motivation up? I will take deliveries of coffee and sugars. In fact, I might go and snack on some baklava. That'll keep me going. But not yet. Not yet. I can go for a little while longer. This is the trick I like to do when just to see if I can easily test how a color's gonna look. The hue slider's great for that. I actually like this a little dark so it sets off her candle flames. And there'll be more candle flames in the background with the other candles too. So we're gonna leave it dark for now. And I can change that later because digital is awesome. Oh my gosh, there are so many layers. She's definitely one of the more complex, the ones with the complex props. Oh my gosh, it would be amazing to have a minion like come in and quietly sneak me cake and coffee. Oh man. And then they could like be a moderator. That'd be awesome. And they must dress as a ninja. Things I will do when I am able to hire a minion. It's gonna happen. They're gonna be my army of ninjas. I'm not even supposed to drink coffee anymore, but I admit I've kind of fallen off the wagon, even if it burns my throat. But sometimes a gal just needs coffee. Especially when they're fooled into drinking a mixture of whiskey and scotch over the weekend because of the very cool White Walker themed label. And I knew that was dangerous. But I drank it anyway because the label was pretty. If you haven't seen the White Walker, Johnny Walker stuff, it's a really cool, like, Game of Thrones themed label. It's like the Johnny Walker dude with a top hat, except he's the Night King. So adorable. Because I'm definitely one of those people that chooses alcohol based on how pretty the bottle is, which is not an effective method of choosing alcohol. And then I hoard the bottle for a while before throwing it away because it's pretty. Except now her wax candles look a bit dim, don't they? So let's brighten those up, shall we? Hey Sarkeen, it's good to see you in the chat too. Yay, so many people today. I was hoping that this new stream schedule would be easier for different crowds of people since I know I've got a lot of people overseas and I got people here in the US. So I'm glad this like evening / afternoon schedule seems to be working. So I catch a few people in the other one and catch a few people for this one too. Yay, thanks for tuning in and making my first afternoon stream an exciting one. Oh my gosh, I have that glittery alcohol too. Psychine. It definitely does not taste good, but when you shake it, it has this marble glitter effect. It's so pretty. So apparently I will drink metals. This Goldschlager's pretty awesome too. Ah. Okay, whoops, I forgot I hid the selection. Nerf. Art of Sam has raspberry mojito? Oh my god. That sounds amazing. I really gotta find this raspberry rum invention. That sounds great. Even though I can only drink alcohol, like, very rarely, or I just destroy my stomach. Because I don't have a gallbladder. Moment of silence for my long lost appendage. Oop, wrong color. Okay, I keep picking the wrong color. Come on, brain, catch up. There we go. Hey, Emma. It's nice to see you in the chat. Woo, this is the most people I've ever had in chat, I think. That's awesome. Yay. Seems like this Monday stream is going to catch a lot of people. And you deserve it, Art of Sam. Or just Sam. You've been working hard. It's actually good that I'm getting back into the streaming because I'm about to participate on a panel. So it's good to sort of refresh my knowledge. Participating on a panel at JordanCon coming up. Gosh, is it this weekend? Oh, it's this weekend. Yeah, so Friday I'll be talking about different streaming techniques, programs, practices, etc. with a few other artists at JordanCon. Figured I could pitch in what I know. I'm not the most, like, insanely popular streamer, but I know some stuff. So yeah, it'll be cool to see folks there and see if we can't give y'all some ideas about streaming. And for those who don't know JordanCon, which I think I said that was the con, but if I didn't, it's a JordanCon. And it's a Wheel of Time themed convention here in Atlanta. And it's actually pretty cool for, like, writers, especially people who like speculative fiction and fantasy and all that stuff. They have a lot of awesome resources there for writers. An art show, which I will be showing work in. I won't have a table this year, but I will be showing art in and at least doing the panel so I can chat with folks there. I see the gaps. Ah, die gaps. JordanCon is also awesome because they give you books at the door. Every year now that I've gone, one of their things they give you along with the program and all that stuff is just a hardcover book. I was so tickled when I got my first one. I'm like, oh, they give books. So I freaking love books. I hoard them. I am a book dragon. I think I may have colored on the wrong layer, but I'm about to combine these two anyways. The candle holders don't need to have their own layer. They ain't that special. That's weird, Psykeen, that you're not getting notifications. I feel like... Yeah, I feel like that would be a settings issue if you, because you can customize what you want to have emailed to you. Almost there. Then we get to colorize some lines, which is also fun. Wow, do I really have 18 viewers? Cool. Hi, people who are lurking. Feel free to speak up in the chat. Tell us what you're working on. Ask questions. Tell us where you're from, because it's always exciting to see what part of the world I'm being connected to right now, because technology is awesome. Yay, people! It is so magical to see you here. If you missed the beginning of the stream, I'm working on a chibi version of this gal right here, who is the goddess of February. She's from a Birthstone series that I did. And I'm making cute little chibi versions now because I can. And chibis are fun. The original paintings were done in watercolor. I thought about watercoloring the chibis too, but that'd be a lot harder to stream to you guys. Eventually I'll figure out how to set up a camera over my desk so you can see the watercolor stuff happen. It's just a bit easier to capture my screen than it is to get the best lighting to put a camera over the desk. But I'm gonna figure it out at some point, because I think it's really fun to see how the pigments absorb into the paper and all that good stuff. But yeah, if any of you new folks have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and I'll see them when I look up from the picture. Yeah, Emma, it's a little challenging to try and get the colors and contrasts to look right. And I've used a webcam to do it before, but the best camera I have is actually like a 4K camera it'll capture everything, but then I have no idea how to get that camera to show up for Twitch. But I'm gonna figure it out. One of these days it'll happen. I'm gonna get my husband on the matter. He's really good with tech. He is my official IT department. I've actually recorded some tutorials. I think of this painting, in fact, I did like a narrated tutorial all filmed with that camera. Which eventually I want to do more of those too. It takes a long time to process the hours and hours of footage, so I'm pretty slow about putting those traditional tutorials out. Which I should say is also a perk of my Patreon. The premium tutorials I have put out, I believe they start at the $10 tier, so if you really want to learn how to watercolor in this kind of Art Nouveau style, I do have a tutorial up about that. I even have a mask making tutorial up for those who are into leather crafting and masks. And eventually I will do more as I get better at editing video and putting all that together. Or learn how to clone myself so I can do all of that stuff. Saikin says, a clone would be so nice, but then you'd have to feed them. I know. Then they probably need to wear clothing too, because that'd be weird if they were running around naked. Or I could learn how to have super speed and to not sleep. Robot clones. Now that is smart. Oh, this one's supposed to be leave. Woo! All the main elements are almost in. Sonny says I should set up a model train running through my home with smart water cooker to refill my teacup remotely. That would be smart. It makes me think of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. The dad had all this like mousetrap level contraptions around the house to do tasks. That would be smart. That would be fun. I'm sure my husband would actually love to set up something like that, but then he would just set up like surprise contraptions around the house just to troll me. You know, I still haven't seen Wallace and Gromit. Or The Incredible Mr. Fox. I really want to see that one. It looks like it's really cute. I can get behind that kind of animation style too. It's so clever. I'm a big fan of stop motion. Because they're more insane than I am. Modeling all of that stuff by hand makes me feel a bit better about myself. Alright, it looks like we've got all the main colors filled in. Woohoo! Now comes the bit where, like January here, we get to colorize all the little lines. So you notice that the black, there's like a black outline on the outside, and then the inside colors have a very subtle coloration to them. So I'm going to try and preserve that in this next one too. So I've just got her pulled up as a style guide for me. So just lock the transparency and have a ball. I think this part is really fun. Magic. The only thing that's annoying is when you get color on a place you're not supposed to, then you have to go back and fix it. Really easy to overpaint into overlaps. Now her gems look too pink. Must fix. There we go, I like this. A bluer purple, but not as blue as her violets. There, now she's not so pink. Oh, I see where there is white coming out. Must fix. Ah, too close. And this is why it takes me 2 hours to do color flats. Okay, I feel better now. Fix this too. Just gonna have color testing here to see if they stand out enough from the black lines to make that pop that I want with the black outline. Yeah, it works. Yeah, I love this effect. It just looks so sexy. It adds just such a nice visual touch to a piece to have that colorized line. So I saved the original so we could kind of compare. Just some subtle depth. It's funny thinking about this particular lady too, or actually a lot of the earlier ones I think were more directly related to their birth flowers. Like, they had the birth flowers in their clothing and whatnot. And as the series went on, they started getting more and more conceptual. Like, I started to lose my mind or something, and they just became much more surreal. And I started to drift even farther into a more fantastical bent with them. It just goes to show you how a series evolves over time as you straighten it out in your head and learn more about what you're trying to say with the art. So it's been kind of enlightening to come back to these earlier ladies and be reminded of how I created them and where I was at when I created them. I still love them, but I do think I started to get into a really cool place by the end. But I've sworn to myself, I'm not going to redo any of these old paintings. I will not. I refuse. And I will never be finished with this series. So they will just have to stand as is, as their own. I will enjoy them for what they are. Oh, hey, Chris Silence. Good to see you here. Seems like Monday afternoon is going to be a popular stream time. I will make a note of this. Happy Monday. Hopefully catching the stream can bring you all some inspiration and motivation for your week. I admit it's been kind of nice to hop right into this and get my brain out of weekend mode. Hey, another familiar face in the chat. Good to see you, Other Sam. Oh, coding. Interesting. See, I have trouble multitasking when I'm doing any kind of writing, so I find it intriguing that there are some people who can write and listen to someone else talk at the same time, or do numbers like with coding. That's impressive to me. I would start writing what you're saying. We're gonna play with the color of this line because I don't like it. Darker, maybe? Yeah, darker's good. No, I colored the wrong line. Whoops. But yes, apparently I am not allowed to come back and redo any of these other ladies because Art of Sam will kill me. She'll put an assassin hit out on me, or she'll show up one day and kill me. So I guess there goes that idea. And also, Chris Silence, yes, you should definitely learn Photoshop. It's so handy. I really enjoy it. It's got a lot of functionality to it, and now that Creative Cloud is a bit cheaper, it's easier to get your hands on a good and legal copy of the program. And I'm glad you can relax a bit, Psykeen. We need to hang out soon. Oop. I always forget to, when I hide the ant lines, then I forget to unhide them, and then I'm like, why can't I draw on the other area? It's because you forgot it was selected. Yes, Photoshop does still have a monthly fee, but it used to be either $50 a month for the suite or $30 for a single app. So like $9.99 a month, and it comes with a Behance Pro account and 2 gigs of storage space in the cloud and a couple other bits and bobs. I find that fair. And I use Photoshop all the time. If I didn't use it all the time, though, I'd probably get one of the free alternatives that are out there. Because there are quite a few now. Gosh, there's some I haven't even heard of until recently. So that's pretty awesome. Like, I've been looking at Clip pretty closely because they have a really cool, like, pose, like a built-in posing thing where you can pose human figures. They have 3D models you can pose. There we go. I don't know why that sentence was so hard. But yes, there are so many great alternatives now. I keep saying, I'll get Clip Studio one of these days when it goes on sale, and then it goes on sale, and I'm like, the next time. Oh, hey, lots of Clip users. Chat among yourselves, cool kids. Yeah, that's probably the one I'll actually buy. I don't know how GIMP's doing these days. I used it very sparingly before, so I can't tell you if the new GIMP is any good or not. Krita, yeah, Krita? I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but I've heard of that one. That one seems, that's the newest option that I heard about, and I'm like, I've never even heard of this. That is cool. There's so many options now. And they load, a lot of them will load PSD files. That's pretty cool. I'm so glad you guys are listening to, like, the nice royalty-free music, because I'm listening while I'm sitting here drawing these sweet Art Nouveau ladies. I'm listening to this, like, hardcore goth music, Crook Shadows right now, and I'm trying not to sing along. Pray for daylight, for morning. must not sing. But I actually have my stream set up to have a royalty-free music playing for you guys, so I don't get banned from the YouTubes or the Twitch. But if I had my way, I'd have like the weirdest playlist going right now. One of these days, I'll just have to be like, just play the copyrighted music and let it get silenced, because music's such a big part of my art making that I like to have tailored playlists playing while I'm going. So I jerry-rigged a way to have 2 audio streams going, one for me and one for y'all. Huh. You can invite a music bot? I wonder how that works. I might have to talk to you about that outside of, over on Discord or something, because it'd be cool to have some other music going, but not get in trouble for it. Let's see, I want these lines to be a tad bit darker, so we're going to select them. Yay, digital! Then I finally have a use for voice chat in Discord, because I have it on there, but I just never set it up, because it's like, too much effort. But I know it would be cool to find a use for it. As I make very small changes that probably other people won't notice. And so let's compare totally black lines, colored lines. Chris Silence asked what I've been up to. Driving myself insane with obsessively drawing more birthstone ladies. All the birthstone ladies. All the time. Everywhere. But in all seriousness, though, I just finished up the coloring book with the ladies. Well, I'm sorry, they're birthstone goddesses now. I don't even know my own brand. And I'm working towards... These are going to be stickers, but also there's going to be a wall calendar and an art book down the road that's going to collect all the stuff I've been working on for the past few years. So that's my life. That's what I've been working on. It's actually pretty exciting to have that coloring book out there because I want to actually put that coloring book out there on Amazon and stuff. I've been learning all this new stuff about publishing on Amazon. So that's, to me, I get excited by stuff like that, just learning new things and how, as a creator, I can go and control more of my own distribution. So I've just been learning all that and really coming up with a plan to bring this silly little series of mine to the world. And that has been my life for the past few years. It's actually pretty cool because I've just laid out all the art to see what I could bring to JordanCon and put in the print shop and whatnot. And I'm like, wow, you guys, I made all that. It feels good to have a body of work because before this I was very much someone who had just random stuff. Like, I want to make chibi monsters today, and then tomorrow I'm gonna make a graceful, whimsical elf man or something. So it's nice to have some direction. But the world does need more whimsical elfmen, so gotta get back on track with that at some point. Dear God, is it almost 4 p.m.? And I haven't even gotten past color flatting. I'm so slow. Psyche, stop manifesting super strength and you'll be okay. Hopefully you did not hurt yourself. At least the chocolate orange is intact. That's the most important thing beyond your own bodily safety. Yeah, she's so adorable. I want to boop her nose. She's a change from Lady of January. He's just like, I'm so done. In fact, I think January is like the most sour looking one. I keep debating whether I want to change her expression or just leave it. It makes me laugh, so maybe I should just leave it. Ah! I see where the color has escaped. You will not escape the lines. Not on my watch. Now I want a chocolate orange. Ninjas, go get me an orange. One day I'll say that and it will happen. Oh, I have to sneeze. Nope, I don't want to stop right now. Let me get a few more lines. I don't think you guys can hear the horrifying it makes when Wargrave, when you don't take a break, Wargrave is like Milvis Ray says, we had a buddy who had a lot of free time in a car and was often bored back when my small was very small. We'd send him money via Google and text him, please go grab some cookie dough ice cream for us and then come hang out. And it would happen. Joked it was the Swift delivery service for his name. That sounds awesome. Bearing cookie dough would be the best. Any friend who comes bearing cookie dough is the best. like all your sins will be forgiven. You just come bearing cookie dough. Nah. I guess I need to stop fighting my work thing before my shoulders punish me later. I can finish the course at least. Nah. Okay, fine, I'll take a break. Time to stretch, friends. Actual cookies will also count towards forgiveness. But yes, exercising and stretching is good. Actually wonder what you guys do. If you are on the computer for a long time, how do you manage yourselves? This thing has probably saved me from a lot of chronic pain. I know people who use egg timers. And they also have like web-based, browser-based programs that will set off an alarm every few intervals. There's a lot of neat tools. I like this one because it also guides you through some eye exercises, because I've actually had the eye doctor tell me it's become a problem with people my age in their 30s and gorgeous that they spend too long being really up close to a computer screen, that their eyes have trouble adjusting to objects that are far away. So they need reading glasses a lot, or they need certain types of glasses a lot sooner. So, yeah, the fact that one of the exercises is to move your eyes and to focus on faraway objects is pretty good. Keeps me from developing eye problems. But we're going to skip the rest of the break because I'll get up and walk after the stream. Yeah, psychine, being forced to get up and walk helps me prevent the leg soreness, because I notice my legs will actually fall asleep if I'm sitting too long at the computer. And I have a bad habit of sitting on one of my feet. I just sit, according to my husband, I just sit the worst way possible. I am the destroyer of my own posture. It literally hurts to sit the way I'm supposed to. I'm just so much more comfortable sitting in the wrongest way possible. So I've had to unlearn a lot of bad habits. Another way I help myself is I actually try to get out and work on a laptop somewhere else, just so I'm switching seating positions and monitors. laptops are nice that way. It's just nice mentally to get out of looking in the same, just being in the same spot and location. Feels a little like solitary confinement after a while, so it's nice to just pick up and go elsewhere. Like go to the coffee shop or the post office. It's one of the few places I go. Kind of a hermit otherwise. And of course the art stores. We're lucky we have just hobby stores nearby. Now for a magic trick. Wah. Okay. So I was thinking, May Sketch-A-Day is coming up, and I am pondering participating somehow. I don't know how yet. Maybe just giving myself some guilt-free time to draw those whimsical elfmen that I was talking about. Stuff that maybe gives me a little break from this series, because I've literally been staring at this series for years. So I'm debating what I shall do. It's all your fault. It's all your fart. Wow. It's all your fault, Art of Sam. Because I remember the cool stuff you did for May Sketch-A-Day last year, and I'm like, so tempting. Maybe I could do some cool story stuff that way. Ooh, World Imbolc. I haven't visited their site in a while. I need to see what they've added. But I'm kind of secretive about sharing my world stuff because I'm a special snowflake and I'm like, want to keep it all private and a surprise. But it might be fun to play with some other stuff, like other worlds that I've created. It also seems like it might be handy for organizing a tabletop game, too. I don't know, I want to play with it. It seems like fun. Oh yeah, you paid for private. Cool. I'm still debating looking into the campfire program that does some cool like organizational things too. Like I don't know. There's so many tools. So little time. That's right. You know, I forgot it was built for tabletop games. Oh, whoops! I colored on the wrong layer again. Yeah, I actually used to run a wiki for my Song of Exile story, and it was very useful to have that structure. Just so I could see from writing out an article on a character what other characters needed to have articles to, and what other thing I needed to expand in order to make it feel fleshed out. So having that wiki tool is really handy to see where there might be gaps in your world or in your character set. But I hope you have fun with it. I am very tempted by it a lot of the time too. And I might have to pick your brain and see how you're liking it. Or if there's a free trial, I might do that sometime. Yeah, I used to run that wiki on a database online and just keep it private for myself, but it's since been bazookaed. I just use Scrivener now. I have like a story codex database and then a separate one for novel stuff. But I'm hoping maybe something like Campfire will actually be better for organizing world building and timelines and stuff than Scrivener. I still need to go buy that at some point. Because that one also has like a Scapple kind of functionality to it, which if you don't know Scapple, it's a brainstorming, visual plotting program that will let you connect balloons together and organize flowcharts and all that stuff. It's pretty cool. Art of Sam. I remember when I first showed you Scrivener, I was like, it has folders! The power of folders! I actually am so happy I started playing with it more in depth because the default character sketch and landscape, or the cow sketch stuff that it comes with is pretty cool. It's pretty handy for getting your imagination going. And then it comes with the ability to export as an ebook, which I didn't even know until recently. And it can format everything as a novel manuscript for you, and that's pretty cool. Now, I've actually been doing that because it's easier to organize the information for beta readers that way. I've been practicing with my Exalted story. So I can export the ebooks for them or put it in different formats is handy. Oh wait, so you can actually can you share a private thing within World Amble with like a public link to anyone who has the link? That is cool. If they had that kind of sharing functionality, that would be really, really handy. What? They have Discord integration? What? Okay, yeah. It's been so long since I actually looked at them that apparently I will have to go look again. Sounds like they've added some fun new things to World Amble. Well, see, now I want to go right instead of draw. Ugh. Too many muses. Get out of my brain. Not enough room in my brain for the writing and art muses. We're just like trading bad influences here. What are friends for? Oh yeah. I will definitely hit you up, Milversary. I don't know how to say your screen name the way it looks. Milversary, I know. I'm gonna call you Other Sam. You know I'm gonna hit you up for that 1K 1 hour, because I've got to get back to my Exalted story. I have such plans, but I just keep going to sleep instead of writing. Curse this human need. My brain's definitely had trouble multitasking all the projects that I have in my head. Weird tangent must fix. Milvis. Oh, red kite. I like it. That's cool. Well, that I've always wondered about your screen name, so that clears up a lot. Thank you. That's very cool. I think if I ever had to choose a different screen name, I would, since I'm boring and I just use my real name, I'd probably go with like the scientific names of butterflies, because man, I swear the scientists were so romantic. Because you have stuff like the scientific name for Luna moth, which is, I believe it's Actaeus luna, and I'm like, oh man, that sounds awesome. There's some really cool name possibilities from the scientific names of moths and butterflies. I think I have a fairy character who's named Actaeus. He was a mad scientist. He didn't understand humans. I gotta bring that guy back sometime. He was fun. Someone probably has Octaeus Luna already. You know, for as many years as I've known you, Zan, I've not... I never knew that's why you named your name Psykeen. That's cool. Unless he told me a long time ago and I have forgotten until now. But it is nice to be reminded. I remember your old screen name. Oh grief, we're almost done. Comparison. We're gonna knock back these candles. I also have a pseudonym, but I use that mainly for my naughty art. And I say that like I've drawn a lot of naughty art, but I really haven't. I figure one day I might. One day. It's on the to-do list of things that would be fun to draw after the billions of other things I want to draw. And the way I came upon that name was, I'm just gonna share the name. I'm not trying to hide it. Is Amina Sayer, and Amina means truth, and Sayer just means truth sayer, basically. And I liked the irony of a name that is a lie, but it's telling the truth. I may have to snag that name for a character someday. Well, now you guys know my awful secret. That I have at one time perhaps drawn boobies under another name. And generally I wouldn't care that I've drawn adult art because it's like, whatever, I'm an adult. But I keep that separate because, you know, I have a book there that exists for young audiences, and it's just best that they don't get a Google search that brings up something eye-burning. Although most of my erotic art is much more tasteful. More on the tasteful side of things, at least I think. I like to think that it is. I got into that topic because we were talking about screen names in chat and pseudonym, since I just realized I'm kind of responding to the chat topics without actually saying what the topic of conversation was for those who are going to watch this later and have no idea why I started talking about boobies. But, you know, at one point I'll just get famous enough to where I can be like, yeah, I drew that, or I wrote that. And nobody will care because I'm famous. I do have chat on screen, but just in case the encoding makes it hard to read or anything like that. Sometimes people watch recordings and they're not expressly reading the chat that goes along. Or at least I know I have a habit of pulling up art videos and whatnot and not actually looking at them. Not all the time, anyways. almost there. Just gotta finish up this bottom decoration. And then the outside. Another thing that might affect the size of text on people's screens is the resolution. I think the Surface has a pretty high resolution, and that tends to make the DPI of text smaller. So that can play a big part on how how text is displayed on screen. So if you're at a lower resolution, your text is generally larger. Especially with your DPI setting, which is kind of like a different thing. But the gist of it is that the higher your res is, generally the smaller your text is going to be. So it doesn't necessarily correlate to screen size. Alright, woo! We got the flowers done. Look at those flowers. Boom, flowers. I never want to draw violets again. They're kind of nests of pain. Let's see, how did I do the border? I put a black outline around the edges and a lighter inline in the interior. Okay. Cool. I might actually leave the shading part for the next stream, since it's getting more towards dinner time. Yay, my husband will be happy that I paid attention when he was explaining DPI to me. I didn't gloss over. I learned a thing. I think the question about text size came up for me because I was asking my husband about well, if I get a Surface or an iPad Pro or something like that, it seems like such a small space, right? Like the smaller iPad Pros are, I think, 12 or 13 inches, and the Surfaces are about the same-ish. They're in that range, and it seems small to me. And he explained that because of the really awesome resolution on these devices, that it won't be too hard. Like, there'll actually be a lot of space to do art in. So that was good to know. How did I do the gem? Okay. I colorized this line too. Oh, I always press the window button instead of the Alt key. So if you keep seeing the Windows menu pop up, it's because I always miss the Alt key. So, are you guys excited for Avengers Endgame? Because I am. It is like a nerd dream. We don't have any tickets yet. We live in a like kind of a smallish town, so I'm hoping there aren't as many geeks here, so we can still get tickets because we didn't buy any in advance. I'm ready for this 3 hours of geeky glory because I really enjoy the Marvel movies. The last one I saw was Captain Marvel, and I didn't think I would like it at first. I'm not actually super huge into the whole Captain Marvel series. I knew nothing of Captain Marvel, so it had kind of like a 90s alien movie vibe. Not like Alien Sigourney Weaver, but kind of like, goofy alien crash lands in the early 90s and comedy ensues. It was just a lot of fun. A lot more fun than I expected it to be. Also, I want a Flurkin instead of a cat. Oh my god, the dinner with the movie places are the best. Like, our local theater has comforters. Like, not comforters. Recliners. Like, leather recliners that you can lift your feet up. And all they need to do to make the experience perfect is to add the ability to order dinner along with it. You would never be able to get me out of that place. They have Movie Tavern around here. I love those places. They're cool. Oh, what did I do? Stop that. I hit a button. I hate when I do that. Tidy up the edges here. Oh, you know what really surprised me about Captain Marvel was the fact that they had so much great music from my childhood. I was like, oh man, I remember this. There was much music nostalgia. If anything, I would get that soundtrack from that movie just because of that. Oh, now we're getting to too many layers. I'll have to check that playlist out on YouTube. It was just so great. Oh gosh, I know. When people call it retro, I'm like, that's not retro. I'm not. That can't possibly be that old yet. And then I have friends who are like 10 years younger than me that remind me that when when Resident Evil came out, they were 8. And I'm like, oh, shit, I'm old. All these video games from my childhood were... I was older when they were young. But that just means I can corrupt them. Or like that time that I briefly was interning for an art education degree, which I didn't finish. But I was interning for it, and the children didn't know what Garfield the cat was, and I was so shattered and feeling so old and decrepit. They may have just been ignorant children, too. Who doesn't know Garfield the cat? Come on now. Of course, their standard to go by is the CG Garfield. I guess I can't be too angry. Yeah, I think I heard that from Etsy, like, what, 25 to 30 years is considered vintage items. Yeah, those kids broke me when they didn't know what Garfield the cat was. But they knew what Dragon Ball Z and Harry Potter was, so that was fine. That was good. They liked me because I knew all that stuff. They were like, yes! I only interned for like, I think 2 weeks, and they were like, we love you! I was getting love letters. Because Dragon Ball Z is cool. See, and that's funny to think that someone mentioned the funny papers, the comics that are in the newspapers. And I don't even read the newspaper anymore. I read online. You know, if I read a comic, it's generally going to be a web comic or something funny that someone shared on to someone else's timeline. So thinking about it, I guess I wouldn't really have a reason to know Garfield or Calvin and Hobbes or anything unless I see it online somewhere. So it's funny how that works. Oh, I see the... Okay. I see the black line in the pant leg now. I need to make it green. And I need to make the outline purple. I totally missed that. Thank you for pointing that out. I thought I was done. There is no escape. There is only chibis. There, do you feel better, Psyche? And now I see gaps that I must fill. So many gaps. Excuse me. Yeah, I totally didn't notice it. I noticed it earlier, but then I got distracted by fixing another part. I should probably have been more descriptive with this layer than clothing 1. Randomly, I'm excited because I get to go to Dahlonega for a wedding. And I love Dahlonega. It's such a nice, peaceful place. And the last time I was there, I got to pet bats. Well, I touched it very lightly because I didn't want it to fly in my hair. Because we went into the gold mine and they had little wee bats hanging up in there. And I think bats are adorable. And I got as close as I could and lightly touched it because it was hibernating. And then I washed my hands very profusely afterward. But it was a cool experience. I loved going inside of the mine. Bats are adorbs. Yay! I'm so glad there are bat lovers in here. Because most everyone thinks they're just kind of weird, ugly rabies carriers. There are bat feeders? You have just blown my mind. I mean, it makes sense that there are bat feeders, but I never would have thought to get one. That's so cool, I might have to do it. Okay. Alright. I think we're done. I stare at it for a minute. Could it be that we're not done, but we're done with the colorization of the lines? Which I thought wouldn't actually take this long, but it did. Because that is how art goes. That sounds like a really cool march to participate in, Sonny. I did, I think it's called Volksmarching. When I lived in Germany, I would go with my mother and we would go on Volksmarches together. It was a very fond memory for me. Okay. Well, it took the entirety of my stream session, but we has lines and color flats. So she's ready to be shaded. But I think I should probably go and stretch and have dinner. And I'll pick this up again for the next stream on Wednesday. And if you can't make it, don't worry. There will be a recording up on my YouTube channel and on Twitch. I save recordings in both places. But, yeah, for now, I'm going to wrap and say thank you for tuning in. It's been a really special debut Monday for my afternoon streams. Hopefully I'll catch you either the next one on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to try for this whole Monday-Wednesday schedule. And, of course, if you want to see more art, just go to angelasasser.com and you can see all the art. And if you really like what I do, you can hit the subscribe button. Amazon Prime members can subscribe for free, and that gives me a little kickback from Twitch. Or you can go over to my Patreon, patreon.com/AngelaSasser. Pitch in $1 there, and that'll net you access to a private feed with polls, works in progress that I don't show to anyone, all of that stuff, plus access to my private Discord server. There's a bunch of stuff. It's a really good fun. But for now, thanks for joining in. You guys have made it really special. Thanks so much. And I'll catch you next time, maybe. Good night.